Not much television. There was no videotape. And Gordie Howe, in a sense, changed the game of hockey in that he was the first power forward.
At the time he was playing, the great scorers were not giant men. And almost every one of them needed a protector, except Gordie Howe. He protected himself.
Gordie Howe played the entire game, the complete game. He would make more instinctively correct moves in one game than players would do in 3 months.
Gordie, without a doubt, was the most complete hockey player that ever played the game, as far as I'm concerned. There was nobody as physical in the National Hockey League as Gordie Howe.
People either admired or disliked Gordie Howe. If Gordie Howe was going in to play the Boston Bruins, they didn't like him, but he brought people to the building.
They came to see the villain because Gordie was looked upon as the villain in a lot of towns, Montreal, Toronto. And Gordie was the man that could inflict the punishment.
Somebody got me a dirty check, and then we played back-to-back games. I'd drive to the rink thinking of his habits, what his habits were, and where would be the best place to get him. And I'd get him.
Gordie Howe, number 9, flashes at McKay and draws a penalty.
Dad's mindset on the ice is different than most anybody else I've ever met. He can be cruel. I've seen him be vicious on the ice. I've seen him hurt people. I used to think, wow, I mean, it's like he meant to do it.
He was already the best player in the league, and he was still hurting people. There would be like one time during the game where he'd do something that would just be disgusting.
He banged me in the mouth, right here. And I knew it was open. I eventually got 6 stitches. And I turned to him and I looked at him, I went, "Well, you old son of a so-and-so." And I whacked my stick at him. And I leaned over and I says, "And you used to be my so-and-so idol."
My first game was against Detroit. I made a pass and I'm watching my pretty pass and I turn and all of a sudden I'm on the ice. Gordie came across and he gave me a heck of a shot.
I'm parked right in front and Mr. Howe happened to be coming to me. Broke my nose. My nose was straight. It went from left to right, about to the cheekbone. And he said to me, he says, "Kid," he says, "in this league, you got to keep your head up."
He was going down the ice, and I lifted up his stick, and I took the puck. I'm skating along, and all of a sudden, I feel this shoo, like this. And I turned around, and he said, "Don't ever embarrass me on the ice." And I had a cracked thumb, and I said, "Never again."
He was being heckled by somebody in the front row, and as the play went down at the other end, Howe reached over with the butt end of his stick and hit the guy in the face and skated away back into the play. And Gordie was there very innocently, and the fan was up shrieking, and his face was full of blood.
Playing with his skates, stick, and fists, Howe endured for 32 seasons over 5 decades, compiling the second highest point total in NHL history. Of countless battles on the ice, perhaps his most celebrated was waged at Madison Square Garden in February of 1959.
I went to Eddie Shack before the game, and I said, "If he starts giving you a rough time, I'm going to be right there tonight. Now count on me."
Lou Fontanato was the toughest defenseman in the league at the time. He skated into the melee and jumped Howe. Howe was involved already with Shaq. It was like Fontanato pushed Shaq aside. "I'm going to take care of this guy."
All of a sudden, I turn around, and there's Louis got the gloves off, Gordie's got the gloves off, and away they went.
All Gordie was doing is boom, boom, right there, pushing there, and hitting like that.
And then he changed hands and hit him with the other hand. And all you could see was Louis' face going back every punch.
It wasn't a matter of breaking it up, it was a matter of holding him up. Howe was so tired from throwing punches, and Louis was so tired from getting hit. And blood was all over my shirt.
Life magazine got a picture of it. Lou's nose was on his left cheek, gashed here from uppercuts. Gordie said the next day, "You know, my knuckle hurts. I wonder what happened last night."
The fight proved, beyond a shadow of a doubt, don't mess with Gordie Howe.
Underneath his combative athleticism, Howe was a paragon of manly virtue, solicitous, courteous, and kind, in the sedate precincts umpired by Emily Post.
He'll come off after the game and shake hands with your wife, be very gracious, and the women go away saying, Is that the same guy I saw out there just pummeling some guy a few minutes ago?
Howe was walking out in the old Boston Garden. Fan leans over and pours something on his head, and I'm looking down for the press. I said, oh, Gordie Howe's going to kill the guy. And I see him say something. He disappears. So I got out of the locker room afterwards. And I said, what'd you say to the guy? He says, it was orange. I like orange, he said.
There was a little lobby in the back of Olympia Stadium, and Gordie would always be the first one out there. And I watched Gordie Howe talk to the kids and pick them up and hug the grandmothers. You'd say, this can't be Gordie Howe.
He might lose his temper on the ice, but if I may say, he had a serenity about him that you don't normally associate with athletes.
He announced that he was coming back from retirement.
Go Penguins!
It means a lot to have him back.
My first thought was, thank God.
Pure joy. Everybody felt it. This goes beyond sports. Woo! This is culture.
It's the best thing to happen to Pittsburgh since the inaccurate reception.
A lot of people thought I was too old to come back. I just needed some time to clear my head and my acne.
Play the Powerade ESPN Sports Center Under the Cap game. 1 in 6 wins instantly.
I've always loved working on computers, and in the Army, that's what I do.
If you never thought about the U.S. Army or Army Reserve, think about this. There are 212 ways for you to become a soldier and work at a job you'll love. Call 1-800-959-ARMY for this free video to find out which job is right for you and discover the 212 ways you can be an Army of One.
I love what I do.
Do you dread washing your car? Drowning in soap suds? Tired of rubbing and scrubbing and reaching? Now there's a better way. It's the Simonized Detailer's Brushless Car Wash System, the incredible new system that combines the soft touch of a brushless wash and the rotating action of a power scrubber for a car wash that's simple, fast, and fun. With the Simonized system, simply add car wash concentrate to the soap chamber, flip the switch, and the Simonized Soft Touch Power Pads whisk away the toughest dirt and grime instantly. Each Soft Touch Power Pad is made of the same super soft fibers used in professional car washes for a soft touch that won't damage your finish. And with the no-slip grip, you've got a handle on real cleaning power. It's fun, fast, and it's from Simonize, America's trusted name in car care products since 1911. Right now, through this exclusive TV offer, you can get the Simonized Brushless Car Wash System for just $19.95. And that's not all. If you order now, you'll also receive the Simonized Long Arm Extension, making it easy to wash those hard-to-reach areas like the windshield and roof, truck beds, even your RV. We'll also include the Simonized Wheel and Bug Brush to handle wheels, headlights, and grills. When you're done with the car, use it on patio furniture, windows, and siding. The entire system is yours for just $19.95, and here's an added bonus. Call now, and we'll add Simonized Car Wash Concentrate, specially formulated so it won't strip wax or damage clear coat finishes. Not enough? Call us right now, and we'll also include the amazing Simonized Surge Sprayer. Turns any garden hose into a high-pressure sprayer ideal for blasting dirt, sand, and salt. Power wash driveways, decks, or sidewalks in record time. Sold separately, these cleaning tools the pros use would cost nearly $50, but you can have it all for only $19.95. Operators are standing by, so have your credit card ready. Order the only car wash system with the Simonized name. The Simonized Detailer's Brushless Car Wash System. Call now.
Tomorrow on ESPN, it's IROC 2001 racing, followed by Baseball Tonight and the latest news and analysis on SportsCenter at 11. On ESPN2, it's MLS action with the Kansas City Wizards and the Tampa Bay Mutiny, followed by back-to-back NHRA action. And on ESPN Classic, the tribute to Michael Jordan continues with SportsCentury's profile of the NBA great, followed by 2 of his finest championships. Do you have all the ESPN networks?
And this game is coming to you direct from Maple Leaf Gardens in Toronto.
In 1942, the NHL stabilized its ranks with 6 franchises. Sparked by radio and later television, it was an era when the lives of the fans rose and fell with the fortunes of their teams.
Fantastic crowd here at the Gardens tonight. Standing room only.
Hockey players always traveled by train in those days. So you had hockey and you had trains. And the romance of traveling between the 6 cities simply added to the luster of the culture itself.
They arrived in taxi cabs and in tuxedos and silk gowns for the ladies and top hats on some occasions.
Getting ready to start the second period, and there's no score.
You knew growing up that every Saturday at 8 o'clock, you'd sit down and it was going to be Hockey Night in Canada. They stop and they build their life and their schedule around Hockey Night in Canada. And if you went to your next door neighbor's house, they were going to be watching Hockey Night in Canada also.
We collected big jars of Beehive corn syrup just to be able to send away and get a photo of Sil Apps or Gordie Drulden or Milt Schmidt or some of the stars of the game. But every kid in Canada wanted to be one of those stars someday.
Born on March 31st, 1928, Howe grew up in Saskatoon, Saskatchewan during the cold, dark years of the Great Depression.
It was damn poor. We had nothing, couldn't get nothing, and we did with what we had. If you had 2 pairs of socks, you were one of the lucky kids. And if you had a winter coat, you were luckier still. We picked up horse turds off the road and used those for pucks, and we called those road apples. And if nobody brought a puck, we played with these road apples.
Thank God for Eaton's. We used to use Eaton's catalogs as shin guards.
On the weekends, I would play bet you 20 hours hockey. And the game would go from early morning to late night. And you'd play, and when you're hungry, you'd go home.
With 8 sisters and brothers crowded into a leaky frame house, dinner time was reduced to first come, first served.
We were very poor, but the godsend was that Mom would make 18 loaves of bread every 3rd day.
There were 2 or 3 kids in a bed, you know, in the small house where they lived. Really, hockey for him, I think, was the great liberation.
He came out to play on the forward line, and he had his mother's skates, and they were quite big on him at that time, but he used his mother's skates for a whole season.
I think he was very embarrassed by the fact that he was in dire straits with his financial things at home. Very seldom would he ever talk about any problems within the family and stuff, so I don't know, he just sort of held that in.
Beyond his grinding poverty was an angular, out-of-proportion body that caused Howe all manner of embarrassment.
He was all arms and all legs, and he was very awkward. And they teased him constantly, so he couldn't grasp the schoolwork.
I remember going to a church, and they made me get up and read. And I didn't like that, so I stopped going there in a hurry.
He actually failed grade 3 twice. He had a lot of trouble reading. He would hear the kids call him doughhead. Gordie took sanctuary from these kinds of insults with his mom.
He was terribly heartbroken, you know, and I guess she just grabbed him and they both had a nice cry.
If his mother was an island of consolation, Gordie's father was a battlefield.
His father, Ab, who at other times had called him backward and bashful and awkward and clumsy, said to him, "Gordie, don't take no dirt from nobody. You know, because if you do, they'll just keep putting it on top of you."
My brother and I, Vic, were playing on the swing, and one individual who was in the grade 8 class, and I'm only in grade 3, he came on, he said, "How's it going, doughhead?" And then he pushed me off. So what I did, I meanly and put a snowball with cinders in it, and I fired it at him, hit him pretty good.
Gordie moved along very quickly, so was usually playing with kids older than himself. His father gave him the advice to protect yourself, and I think that had a lot to do with how he approached life, and especially hockey.
You can jab him in the ribs. You can try to turn him over. You can put a pillow over his head. But nothing will stop that awful snoring.
Snoring can even ruin a romantic cruise. Hi, I'm Bernie Coppell, and I have something that will solve your snoring problems once and for all, guaranteed. This amazing product is called D-Snore. It's a unique new formula in the form of a spray. That's right, it's a spray. Just spray D-Snore on the upper part of your throat. It works instantly to moisten the membranes of your soft palate and allow free and easy breathing. You'll sleep without snoring all night long. D-Snore will work for you too. It's guaranteed. If you snore or have a loved one that snores, get D-Snore. It's just what the doctor ordered.
Have your credit card ready and call 1-800-510-8593 to order D-Snore. Stop snoring. Call right now, 1-800-510-8593.
It's a double feature deal for only $3.99.
You set me up.
Revenge is all that matters.
What kind of cop are you anyway?
William Baldwin is the primary suspect.
Do you know where your daughter is?
A kidnapping. And the clock is ticking. Dennis Hopper needs the money. Held for ransom. 2 movies on an all-day ticket for $3.99 on Channel 165.
Instead, go ahead and do it.
This month on Blockbuster Ticket, only on DirecTV.
In Peabody award-winning Sports Century, the Top 50 and Beyond has done it again. A second Emmy win for the series Critics Call. Arguably the most comprehensive sports documentaries ever pieced together. You know what made them heroes.
He just never messed with Rocky Marciano.
We show you what made them human.
He drank. He chased girls.
You'll only see the award-winning Sports Century on ESPN Classic. Every weeknight at 8 Eastern and Pacific.
How much PC can $849 get you? More PC than we can tell you about in 30 seconds. A super-fast Intel Pentium 3 processor, CD-ROM, accelerated graphics, pro-quality audio system, monitor, one-touch internet access, lots of memory, plus 5 color choices, red, green, blue, purple, and orange. And that's just for starters. The compact Presario 5000T. Let us build one for you. Call toll-free 1-888-289-4814 for all this, and we'll double your memory for free. Hey, do I have time to mention the...
After one minor league season, Howe joined the Red Wings in 1946. He was 18, timid and naive.
When Howe joined the team, all he wanted, he didn't even care for a bonus. He just wanted a Red Wing jacket.
He was just a small-town boy and with small-town thinking. He always had a saying, it's better to be quiet and thought a fool than to speak up and remove all doubts.
He figured the only way he could ever find his way anywhere was to start at the Olympia, the old arena where the Red Wings played, and he'd set out from there to go to wherever he was going. And that was how he oriented himself in that big city.
But he never lost his bearings on the ice. And with his father's words drumming like a mantra in his head, Howe quickly made his way in the NHL.
Prior to going to Detroit, he went to Omaha for 1 year. And I guess he did a lot of fighting down there. And it doesn't take long for word to travel.
He just found that he could, by intimidating some people, he could get a lot more room on the ice, and that became his game.
When Gordie felt a sense of injustice, he was the man that empowered himself to exact some kind of revenge or some kind of discipline. That anger and that rage took over.
I figured if I'm going to make the Red Wings, I'm going to fight anything that moves. So that's what I was doing. And finally, Jack Adams, the general manager, called me up and said, you can't score sitting in the penalty box.
It was quite a decline in Gordie's penalty minutes, mainly because he'd established himself as such a physical player that nobody wanted to deal with him.
Starring for the Red Wings, one of the game's greatest forward line combinations, Sid Abel, Ted Lindsay, and Gordie Howe.
During the 1949-50 season, Abel, Lindsay, and Howe were the top 3 scorers in the NHL. Totaling 212 points, they earned the nickname the production line.
As Gordie played more, he became very confident in himself. There was a complete metamorphosis there in Gordie's personality. I think he was as confident in his ability as anybody I've ever seen.
When I was growing up, Gordie Howe was the enemy because I was a Leafs fan. And it took a long time before I was prepared to accept that he was then emerging as the great player of his generation.
But Howe's dream nearly died in the first game of the 1950 playoffs.
He was just shy of his 22nd birthday, and he was so intent on doing damage to the hated Leafs that he wasn't thinking much about his own safety. He said, you've got to remember that I was crazy. I wasn't afraid of getting hurt.
He went after Teeter Kennedy behind the net, and then Teeter happened to hear him coming or see him coming and stepped out of the way, and as he did, Gordie went into the end of the rink with his head first. First thing they were calling the stretcher to take him off. He could get hurt sometimes and nobody would ever know the difference, but this time he was really seriously hurt. They shaved his head because they They knew the fluid had gone from the base of the spine, but they weren't sure whether his skull had hemorrhaged.
Back in Saskatoon, in Gordie's hometown, the radio station, which normally signed off at midnight, stayed on the air all night to broadcast bulletins about the state of his health.
When a hockey player of Howe's dimension got into trouble, you could feel the whole country hold its breath.
It was a grave situation, and we didn't know. We prayed like hell, you know. I'm not a church-going man, but I learned how to pray.
I actually thought, you know, the way things were going, that he was going to die, because he was really hurt badly. And then my sister Gladys and my mom flew down to be by his side. When we come into the room, his head was all bandaged, his eye was all bandaged. He's only got the one eye peeking out. And of course, Mom took his hand. He says, "Oh my God, Mom."
He said, "I almost died." He said, "They gave me an anesthetic and thought, he's out." He said, "I wasn't out." I can still remember their opening up my skull and operating on me. I never forgot it. And I swore to myself, anytime I collide with a player, he's going to the hospital.
Less than 4 weeks later, Howe had recovered enough to join his teammates on the ice after winning the Stanley Cup. The next season, he skated away with the scoring title, his 86 points, 20 better than the runner-up.
I think by the time they dropped the puck the following season, he overcame it. All he wanted to do was play hockey, and you couldn't have stopped him from playing.
Alec Del Vecchio sets one up for Gordie Howe, the National League scoring champion for 3 straight years.
By 1954, Howe won 4 straight scoring titles and 2 MVP awards, while displaying brilliance at every aspect of the game.
He would show flashes of great speed, and you knew that great speed was there, but you wondered, how much greater might it even be? You'd see the signs of strength, but he would win the strength contest so easily, you weren't quite sure how much more strength he had. And he did all of these things so well, and there may well be that much more in reserve.
When that puck went into the corner, he went in after it. A lot of those scorers don't do that. They stay outside and wait for somebody to send it out, but he went out and got it, brought it back, and then scored.
Gordie came down the ice against one of the best defensemen in the league, Doug Harvey. Well, Harvey knew that he was beat. He reached back and jammed his stick over Gordie's shoulder down between his leg here, and Gordie had to put his arm out to hold him. And Gordie went in with one hand on his stick, halfway down the blade, holding Harvey off, and Jacques Plante was in goal, and with one hand on his stick, he fired the puck right up into the top mesh of the goal. And we watched that. We wondered if we'd really seen what happened.
I was very fortunate to play for the Red Wings when he was in his prime, and even the bench would get up and applaud him for some of the plays he would do and some of the things he would do.
As a rising star in Detroit, Howe tested himself in another arena.
Gordie and Ted Lindsay used to come out quite regularly to the stadium and put the uniform on, and of course they all want to get in the batting cage and see if they can hit one in the seats.
Gordie Howe came to the ballpark with me on several occasions, and he wanted to bat one day, and I said, "Oh, you better not bat against my pitchers." He said, "Oh, let me hit. I can hit one out." And so I let him take batting practice, and he hit a couple of balls very hard.
Gordie pounded him over the fence a couple of times, so he just belting it all over the place. It was amazing, and it surprised the Tigers.
He said, maybe I should have gone into baseball. I might be able to survive longer in that league than I can in the National Hockey League.
Looks like we got company. What? Hang a left of it.
Round-the-clock claim service, because some accidents can't be avoided. Geico. A 15-minute call could save you 15% or more on car insurance.
If you're going... The 60s were a time of strong emotions and social change, and the music spoke.
Give me a head with hair. Long, beautiful hair.
Now, Cornerstone Promotions brings back the spirit of the 60s with the greatest songs of an unforgettable era.
There's a sense of compliments, meaningless nouns. Turn on, tune in, turn your eyes around. To everything, turn, turn, turn. Drop your silver in my tambourine. Sign, sign, everywhere a sign. Looking at the scenery, breaking my mind. This is the dawning of the age of a
Spirit of the 60s brings you 34 hit songs which live on as symbols of free expression.
Don't you want somebody to love? Live for today. In a white room with black curtains. Time has come today. Young hearts can go that way. Maybe I'll be there to shake your hand. Maybe I'll be there to share the land. All the leaves are brown, and the sky is gray. You and I travel to the beat of a different drum. It's the time of the season for loving. All the world over so easy to see. People everywhere just wanna be free. Come on, people now, smile on your brother. Everybody get
Spirit of the 60s on 2 cassettes or 2 CDs. Here's how to order. Call this toll-free number now for Spirit of the 60s. 2 cassettes, $19.98, 2 CDs, $26.98, plus $5.50 for shipping and handling. Have your credit card ready and call now.
Classic Tiger Woods coming all day Sunday, June 10th, only on ESPN Classic.
Into the stretch. Secretariat leads his field by 18 lengths. Secretariat has opened a 22-length lead. He is going to be the Triple Crown winner.
This is ESPN Classic.
By his 5th season in the NHL, Howe was being compared with hockey's most revered player, its soul on ice, Maurice Richard. They combined for 14 straight right-wing all-league selections, and in 9 of those years, either Howe or the Rocket led the league in goals.
They were the 2 biggest names in hockey at that time. And the Garden would be filled on a Sunday night because Montreal was in with Richard or Detroit was in with Howe.
The rivalry was there. There's no getting away from that. When they played, whether it be in Montreal or whether it be in Detroit, the battle was on.
They were each in their way an embodiment of what they represented. Richard represented that vibrancy, this grand passion for the game. And I think Howe was the best representation of what English Canadians like to think of as, you know, the perfect hockey player. In a way, it helped me to understand this national duality we had.
Gordie Howe would come into the Forum, and clearly he was the enemy. But I think Montreal fans always understood how good a player he was.
And here's the standing ovation for number 9, Gordie Howe.
There was a sense that, wow, somebody important is in town. We're being visited by hockey royalty this evening. Didn't mean you didn't want to beat the crap out of him, but he was still hockey royalty.
The winning of the Stanley Cup by Gordie Howe's Detroit Red Wings. Detroit's Gordie Howe on his way to his 3rd goal of this game.
He was really the first big star with an American team, and he had a great deal to do with bringing the game uptown. He got some national magazine covers that got the whole league a large amount of publicity.
There were a great many times that feature writers would come in and follow him around, and Gordie didn't have a moment to himself. We'd go into Los Angeles. Gordie'd be on this TV show and that TV show. He was in demand every minute.
Gordie, come on over here and say hello to the people all across Canada.
He was really the prototype of the modern athlete. Somebody who could get as big, if not bigger, than his game. You could say Mr. Hockey, and you knew exactly who people were talking about.
I wanted to have his sweater. I wanted to have his hockey cards. I got his Gordie Howe book when I was 6 years old. At one point, I even went to a haircutter and asked if I can get a Gordie Howe haircut.
I didn't really know what I wanted to be until I met Gordie Howe, and he shook my hand and signed an autograph. From that point on, I wanted to be a hockey player.
With Howe's increased celebrity came pressure from within his ranks to lead the fight for improved players' rights.
It never occurred to him that I'm Gordie Howe and I'm the best player in the league. At least he never showed it.
Gordie always just loved to play the game and would have played it for nothing, and some people would argue he did for a lot of years, relative to what he brought to the franchise because he was the franchise.
Are you tired of overnighters that don't go over well? Or extra beds that take an extra set of hands just to set up? Then the Aero Extra Bed in a Minute is your dream come true. This amazing premium quality airbed automatically inflates itself, turning any room into a bedroom in just 1 minute. There's no hand pump, no foot pump, no pumping at all. Just plug it in, push the button, and the patented built-in pump instantly inflates the Aero bed in just 1 minute. It's so easy, it even unrolls itself. So BYOB, bring your own bed on vacation, on business trips, in your camper, on your boat, or even keep a spare in your car trunk. It's like sleeping on air, anytime, anywhere, even every night. The AeroBed gives you the same comfort and support of premium mattresses at only a fraction of the cost, with luxury features like the exclusive adjustable support sleep system and the one-touch comfort control that instantly adjusts the bed from soft to firm while you stay in bed. Plus, the AeroBed deflates in about 5 seconds for easy storage, using 80% less space than a rollaway bed. The Aero Extra Bed in a Minute is non-allergenic and easy to clean. And best of all, it uses all your standard size linens. Your AeroBed comes complete with the attached electric airflow pump, the one-touch comfort controls, and patented quick-release deflation valve, all for just 4 easy payments of only $33. But listen to this. If you call within the next 30 minutes, we'll take off an entire payment. Through this special television offer, you'll receive the AeroBed for just 3 easy payments of $33. Plus, as a special bonus, we'll give you this convenient carrying bag absolutely free. Call the toll-free number right now to get Imaginaire's Aero Extra Bed in a Minute sleep system, plus the free carrying bag, all for just 3 easy payments of $33, plus shipping and handling. You can use your credit card or pay by check right over the phone. Turn any room into a bedroom in just 1 minute with the Aero Extra Bed in a Minute from Imaginaire. Call the toll-free number on your screen now.
2 eager CEOs. One encouraged his employees to read the Wall Street Journal. The other did not. Let's join them for their 5-year anniversaries and see what happened. Imagine what the Journal could do for you. It's now easier to get the Journal to help you. Get 8 weeks of the Wall Street Journal for just 38 cents a day. That's 50% off the regular rate. Call 800-443-1900. That's 800-443-1900. For the Wall Street Journal.
Here is hockey at its swiftest, crashing, exciting best, as seen throughout 24 weeks of the regular NHL season.
In the old days, the original 6, players were often chattel. If you didn't do it that way, it was the highway. And there was somebody there always to replace you. And it was ruled literally by threat.
They looked on the owners and coaches like a religious man would look upon God. And you did whatever they asked you to do. And you never argued about the money. Jack Adams, who was the tough boss of the Detroit Red Wings, he always walked around with train tickets sticking out of his pockets here, see? And he didn't mind. He'd give a guy a train ticket, get out of town right now, and they would sit there in terror.
Even when you got hurt, you came back before you should have. I remember with torn ligaments in my knee, I came back, and practice was fine. I would go and play in a game in Montreal, and I just dragged that right leg behind me all night long.
They said that they would give us for $5 a stitch every time you get cut. I remember getting cut a few times, and I said to the doctor, how many stitches? And he said, you got 5. I says, well, put 4 more in, okay, will you?
With fear of dismissal holding the NHL's 120 players in bondage to management, Howe failed to consider himself able to take on Detroit GM Jack Adams.
He says, son, you had a great year last year, so this year I'm going to give you an extra $1,000. I didn't argue it.
There were players who would come into Jack Adams, and they'd say, Jack, I feel that, I had a heck of a season last year. Don't you think I deserve a little more money? And Jack's pat answer was, hey, do you know that Gordie Howe is only making this much money? That would put you over him. You can't do that.
Salary scales are going to be geared to that best player. And so it probably held back the level of salaries, for some period of time.
It bothered them that if he was worth more, they were worth more. But Gordie just never seemed to seek that what he was worth figure. And consequently, this is really what led to the union situation.
While Howe acquiesced to management's wishes, his teammate Ted Lindsay and Montreal's Doug Harvey quietly secured representatives from each of the league's 6 teams, and on February 11th, 1957, announced the formation of the NHL Players Association.
We never know what we'll do in life until you come to a point in your life. And I recognized that this had to be. We had to have a voice.
We're hoping that the player from every other team would make sure that the key players, the name players on their roster would get up and say, okay, we're in your corner, let's see what happens.
We had our own team meetings in New York. Everybody in New York was for it.
And in Detroit, where unions were king, the Red Wings formed a solid front. But Howe wasn't with them.
We got everything on but our skates. Jack Adams comes in, he says, "What are you guys doing?" Ted says, "We're not going out on the ice until Mr. Campbell talks to us." Teddy said, "Stand up. Who wants the association or union or whatever? Everybody stand up." We all stood up, except one guy, Gordie Howe. So Red Kelly says to Gordie, "What is wrong?" He says, "This is going to help you. You're going to be around for 25 years. He says, "Yeah, but Mr. Adams treats me good. He gave me 2 jackets this year, He didn't have to do that." Ted Lindsay stood up and says, "I'll buy you 5 jackets. Don't worry about a jacket."
Gordie wasn't an activist. If anything, Gordie was a bit of a pacifist off the ice. He just wanted to play the game. He didn't want to get involved in the politics of the game.
The window of opportunity was closed by Howe's pro-management stand. It would take another decade before the NHL Players Union was successfully organized.
I'm sure Theodore Lindsay still believes that if Gordie had stood up in that meeting in the dressing room at Olympia and said, well, let's go for it and see what happens, things might have changed.
Gordie Howe, with the reputation that he had, he could have been a great asset in forming this union and getting a little bit more for us.
Gordie was the best player in the game at that time. It's never been written that the best player should be the biggest force off the ice.
Gordie was a very naive young man. He believed everybody, and he has to live with that the rest of his life.
Neal coming up over the line. A pass to Howe. It just scores! Howe picks the lower corner, and there it is.
In 1963, in his 18th season, Howe eclipsed the career scoring record of his old rival, Maurice Richard.
Neal from Howe, and Howe has broken the record.
There was a standing ovation for, it was like 20 or 25 minutes. And I remember sitting there in the stands feeling so isolated because the thought going through my head was, wow, that's my dad. And this thing just lasted. And as soon as the sound would just go down a little bit, then they would raise the level back up higher.
You become the miracle older player, that you're no longer playing against the standard of those 10 years at the peak of your career. You're playing against the standard of somebody who's 35 years old, 38, 40, 41 years old, and playing against the standard of that, you're a superstar again.
Howe remained unaware of the low esteem in which he was held by Red Wings management until one day in 1968, when his eyes were opened by a new teammate, Bob Baughan.
He said, how much you making? I think Gordie said, oh, I don't know, for 45, 50,000, I think it was at that time. And he said, well, listen, you old fart. He said, I'm making twice as much as you are.
He said, well, how much do you think I should make? And I said, well, Gord, you've been holding us back all these years. You really didn't appreciate what your value is. And that's not being stupid. That's just, not paying attention to what your worth is.
They said I was the best paid player on our team and probably in the league. And I found 3 guys on our team. One was making almost twice as much. That hurts.
Gordie Howe, probably, considering the fact that he was the greatest draw in the National Hockey League for quite a period of time, was probably the most underpaid athlete in the history of professional sports.
Some people buy a Saturn because they get a lot for their money. Others get one because it's fun to drive. In fact, there are plenty of good reasons to own a Saturn. We ought to know. We've been making them for 10 years. Come to think of it, that's another reason right there. The Saturn 10-year anniversary.
Get 0.9% APR for 60 months on all 2001 Saturns. May not be available in your area. Call for participating retailers.
Dirty wash buckets? Throw them out. Messy chemicals? Throw them out. Gimmicky hose attachments? Throw them out. Introducing Swiffles, the greatest car washing breakthrough since water. Swiffles are specially treated wipes developed by NASA technology. They contain a complete car wash in every sheet. Just pull one out and you're ready to go. The space-age formula in Swiffles instantly lifts dust and dirt from your car's finish and dries it to a sparkling shine. That's right. This incredible one-step wash and shine replaces all this. Don't wash your car, Swiffle it. Just wipe it with a Swiffle and that's it. The job that used to take hours is done in a few short minutes with Swiffles. It's so quick you can clean your entire car while you're filling your gas tank. Look, this car is covered with dust and grime. It's a disgrace. But one quick wipe with a Swiffle and what a difference. What a gorgeous shine. And water actually beads up on it without a drop of wax being used. In practically no time at all, that same filthy car looks like it just came from the showroom. When you're through, just throw the used Swiffle away. It's completely biodegradable. But there's more. You can Swiffle your lights, Swiffle your mirrors, Swiffle your chrome. Now, go inside and Swiffle your leather or vinyl seats. Swiffle your dashboard, Swiffle your steering wheel. Swiffles are the easiest, fastest, cleanest way ever to wash, shine, and protect your car. A single Swiffle is all you need to clean an entire mid-sized car. And you get enough Swiffles to clean it 20 times. For only $19.95, your car will be clean and shiny for months. Swiffles are not sold in stores, so order now.
To order your Swiffles, call toll-free 1-800-684-7979 or send check or money order for $19.95 plus shipping and handling to Swiffles, 2 Morgan Avenue, Norwalk, Connecticut. But for fastest delivery, use your credit card and call 1-800-684-7979.
This Sunday on ESPN Classic, what do you get when these ball players go to Japan? Come on, give them a little smile.
Shut up!
You get everything but baseball.
You're gonna get it now, sucker!
And the only hope they have to win the World Championship.
You're not a lefty. Oh, yeah.
Is a miracle. Tony Curtis stars in a real classic. The Bad News Bears go to Japan.
Is somebody gonna play center?
This Sunday at 9 Eastern, only on ESPN Classic.
For 14 years, I played against and with the greatest of us all and enjoyed every high-sticking minute of it.
Never in the history of this game has there been such an obvious and dramatic loss sustained by any single sport.
In September of 1971, Howe's 25-year career, highlighted by 4 Stanley Cups and 6 MVP awards, was seemingly over.
It's been awful tough retiring, and it's been tougher trying to get rid of this sweater, but I'm going to hang on to it with a great amount of fondness.
But behind the bright curtain of Howe's retirement ceremony was the Red Wings' apparent lack of respect for the greatest player in the game.
I think they wanted him to stop playing, and they made grandiose promises about how they were going to treat him in the front office.
The Red Wing front office was grossly incompetent for a long time, and they did one bad thing after another. I don't think they could find their fanny with both hands. They certainly didn't show Gordie the respect that he should have had.
He said, they're giving me the mushroom treatment down there. They put me in a little office, and every once in a while they open the door and shovel some manure on me, and that's the mushroom treatment.
After 2 dreary years in the Red Wings front office, Howe decided to put on his skates and join his sons, Mark and Marty, with the Houston Aeros of the Renegade World Hockey Association.
People from Houston came up and started to talk about contracts for Marty and I, and Dad just kind of jokingly said, well, maybe I should come play too.
I said, there's no way Gordie's going to let those 2 kids come back and play unless he comes back to look after them.
You always thought that Gordie would end his career in Detroit. I mean, any of us that had been there for a long time just absolutely couldn't think of the fact that he'd, pull on another jersey.
I know I'm not as quick as I used to be, and I'm not as strong as I used to be, but hopefully the experience I have will help somewhat.
I was scared to death. I thought he was going to die of a heart attack every day. He was bringing in new shades of purple for the first, 7 days he skated.
Let's see, who's Marty and who's Mark?
I'm Marty.
Marty, what position do you play?
I play left defense.
Okay, and Mark?
I play left wing.
They better get used to this position, too. I'll be leaning on them all.
How does it feel to be playing with your father?
It'd be pretty good. You just have to let us go on our own once in a while on the road trips.
You'd be on the road and you'd meet up with a girl or something somewhere, and you'd walk in the hotel or whatever, and your dad would come in, he'd just sit and shake his head, or he said, I don't think your mother would appreciate this.
Marty was in a fight one time, and the guy was creaming him, and the guy wouldn't quit. And Gordie just took off his glove, reached down, and grabbed the guy that wouldn't quit by the nostrils, put his fingers over there, and just lifted him off the ice. Just like that was the end of it.
He's coming into the WHA, and the quickest way for somebody like yourself to make a reputation for yourself is to go out and fight Gordie Howe. Well, he just, they come out there and they drop their stick. Gordie was just taking these guys and hitting them over the head with a stick.
Gordie was the happiest person in the world. He told me that he played better the first 2 years in Houston than he did the last 6 years in Detroit.
Out for Gordie Howe over the line. He's got Mark breaking, but he shoots. He scores! Oh, my goodness! Hey, I thought I was looking at 1959!
At 45, Howe shocked the hockey world by scoring 100 points and winning the MVP award in 1974. Playing 6 seasons in the WHA, he added 508 points to his all-time best NHL total.
McKenzie with a rebound in front of Gordie Howe. He scores! Gordie Howe is 1,000th goal!
People would say when he got up in years, Gordie, how long are you going to play? And his answer was invariably the same. He'd say, I'm going to play next year anyway. And if they don't know I'm through, I'm not going to tell them, and then I'll play one more.
After the demise of the WHA in 1979, Howe, at 51, returned to the NHL as a member of the Hartford Whalers.
When he came back to the NHL, there wasn't a building that he wouldn't go into. The people just wouldn't sit in awe of the guy.
I played for the Atlanta Flames at the time. We get into the locker room at the end of the first period, and we were down 3-0, and Gordie had 2 assists on 2 power play goals, and all our guys wanted to talk about was, hey, I was out there against Gordie. I was right next to Gordie, as if they wanted to get his autograph.
When Howe was named an honorary member of the 1980 All-Star team in a game played fittingly enough in Detroit, he did not disappoint, providing the crowd with a piece of his glittering past.
Howe takes it away. From Watson, centers to Kluche, scores! Kluche, set up by Gordie Howe. Well, that's what they've been waiting for. And oh boy, look at they're just going crazy here.
Last year I played with Dad, he was 52 years old. How in the hell did he play as a 52-year-old in that game, I'll never know.
Nobody teaches you how to retire, and I found that out the first time I tried. It just didn't work. So this year, I am not a quitter, but I think I should put it in that manner.
I think the second time when he retired, at 52, I said to myself, well, he probably is this time, but I wouldn't bet on it.
Even when he went into a scouting capacity with the Hartford Whalers and he used to travel around doing some scouting, he'd have the equipment in the trunk of his car in case they invited him on the ice.
Some of us sometimes think, well, maybe we should do something else with our life. But Gordie never wanted to be anything more than a hockey player.
Was there something about me that you particularly missed?
I like the way we danced.
He was a hero who lost his way until a stranger,
Bagger Vance the name, you lost your swing. We got to go find it.
Gave him a second chance. Will Smith, Matt Damon, Charlize Theron.
How have you come on out the shadows, Juna?
Was there something you wish to discuss?
From Academy Award-winning director Robert Redford, the legend of Bagger Vance.
On Blockbuster Ticket, only on DirecTV.
History repeats itself in the greatest event of the year. Ali versus Frazier 4, the next generation. All the bad blood ready to be spilled. Laila Ali wants to define once and for all who is the best. Jackie Frazier promises to come out smoking. Friday, June 8th at the Turning Stone Casino in Verona, New York. 9 p.m. Eastern Time, live on pay-per-view.
Some people are easily amused. But for people who demand the best in movie entertainment, the Total Choice HBO Starz Showtime Value Package offers over 100 general entertainment channels, plus 32 premium movie channels for an ever-changing selection of exciting, memorable films available to you 24 hours a day. Riveting. Engaging. The Total Choice HBO Starz Showtime Value Package is a great catch. So pounce on it today.
In Peabody award-winning Sports Century, the Top 50 and Beyond has done it again. A second Emmy win for the series critics call. Arguably the most comprehensive sports documentaries ever pieced together. You know what made them heroes.
He just never messed with Rocky Marciano.
We show you what made them human.
He drank. He chased girls.
You'll only see the award-winning Sports Century on ESPN Classic. Every weeknight at 8 Eastern and Pacific.
Let's see the perfect notebook through your eyes. A big vivid screen, a fast Intel Pentium 3 processor, one-touch internet access. How about the power to turn heads? Oh, you'd like a deal. Okay, get the compact Presario 1700T Internet Notebook PC for just $14.98. Order today and add a quick dock port replicator for just $49 more. You truly are a person with vision. Call toll-free 1-888-269-3679 now.
However much he was underpaid by the Red Wings, the city of Detroit compensated Howe in 1953 with a wife blessed with a sharp business mind and tough negotiation skills.
We're always going to take a lot of abuse, as far as, oh, you'll never be as good as your old man. One guy was just up there yelling, screaming, belittling us left and right. And I guess she just got so upset she took her pencil and stuck it through his hand.
Gordie was big and easygoing, and Colleen was intense and outspoken. And in a way, she was one of the first agents in hockey because she went and stated his case strongly for more money and got it.
I've always been a very self-sufficient person, and so Gordie trusted me, and he relied on me a lot. So Gordie had his job, and I had my job, and it worked out good. It's a good partnership.
People have lied to Dad and used Dad, and that's hardened her. The way I look at it is that if I had to do business, I probably wouldn't do business with my mom.
Gordie does nothing without her permission pretty well. To be fair to Colleen, she's made this family an awful lot of money. And that's, according to Colleen, I would think is the name of the game.
Well, fans can read all about Mark and Marty and Murray and Kathy and Colleen and yourself in Gordie Howe, the autographed autobiography, and Howe.
I'll never forget my first jersey. The day I got it, for 6 months, you couldn't pull that thing off me. It took me 12 years to earn that first jersey.
I got one overnight. I ordered it online, paid for it with my credit card. It was easy.
With Colleen behind him, Howe has played a part that was not his strength, that of ubiquitous sports legend, constantly on the road to promote a book or event and keep the Mr. Hockey legend intact.
He wore number 9, Gordie Howe.
Need I say further? Number 9, Gordon Howe.
He's shy, and yet he likes the attention. And I think he maybe even has resented it at times when he didn't get the attention. I've seen him at games, wonderfully patient with people who want a piece of his moment. But I've also seen him slightly on the periphery of a crowd in which, looking at him, I wondered whether or not he didn't miss being at the center of the action.
Flips it into the shark zone. Sanders Oblak with trouble. Gretzky to steal. He scores! Number 800!
In 1994, 4.5 years after passing Howe's 1,850 NHL points, Gretzky closed in on Gordie's all-time goals record. The old Warrior was not ready to grant history its due.
Right now, he's headed for a plateau of 801. I call it a plateau because that's the NHL standards. My career regular seasons is 975.
And then all of a sudden, there was a little bit of a cloud over
the 802nd goal because Gordie said, well, I scored more goals than that.
Gretzky gets the puck on the right to McSorley. Centered it to Gretzky. Scores! Wayne Gretzky! There it is! Number 802.
Wayne Gretzky is the best, and how?
If the people say that Gordie was a little annoyed about this, that's not true. Take it from me. I know Gordie for a long time. And Gordie is not a man like that. He was disappointed.
You can only imagine what Gordie went through, seeing record after record after record erased by Wayne Gretzky. One man was erasing all of Gordie's records. And Gordie had the opportunity to do something that nobody would ever be able to duplicate.
You know that old Gordie Howe number 9 jersey in the back of your closet? Well, dig it out, because everything old is new again in Detroit, as 69-year-old Hall of Famer Gordie Howe is back on the ice.
In 1997, Gordie Howe set one record that may never be broken. At 69, he played one shift for the Detroit Vipers of the International Hockey League. He was now the first player to compete in 6 decades. But not everybody applauded.
It immediately reminded me of my father's standard line. He would say, "You're America. Anything you want to do in America, you can do. There's no law against it." It was a stunt. It was showbiz.
I don't think anybody was very happy with that one. What was there to gain? I think of all the greatness of Gordie, that one passed the line.
At different stages, I asked myself why Gordie would come back. The first time when he came back, I felt, and I still believe, that he just felt he had more hockey to play. After that, I really think that as Wayne Gretzky matured and started to dominate the sport and Gordie saw his records disappearing, that Gordie wanted to leave some kind of legacy that Wayne could never touch.
I think that he wants to be remembered like the Rocket. I think when you come through the 50s and the 60s in hockey, when we had the original 6, sometimes it's very, very hard to let go.
I don't know anybody who lived to play hockey to a greater extent than Gordie Howe did. Canadians, I think, are for the most part anti-hero. But Gordie has stature. Gordie has, some people would call it heft. Gordie has presence. When you ask Wayne Gretzky who his hockey heroes are, it's Gordie. It's that simple.
All due respect to Wayne Gretzky and all those of this era. Gordie Howe did it in a rough, tough, rugged era. The word superstar is used much too liberally today, but it really applies to Gordie Howe. He's a legend.
In many respects, Gordie Howe was the Hank Aaron of hockey. He played the whole game, starred well beyond his prime, and never scored 50 goals in a season. But for all of Howe's commonality with Aaron, history likens him more to Ruth. Why? Now, because like Ruth, he became the symbol of his sport. He is Mr. Hockey. Then, now, and always. For ESPN Classics Sports Century, I'm Chris Fowler.